welcome to GMIHub Online. I am Cheryl Dewick, your host, and I am so thrilled that you are here to be with us. I'm so excited about the conversation we're going to have today and the guests that we have today. But before I introduce those guests, I want to welcome back my wonderful co-host, Dale Borland. Dale, say hello.
Well, heidi ho. Okay, today is going to be a great conversation. You don't want to miss it. Thank you for joining us on YouTube. To find us on YouTube is at GMIHub Online. Now, we also have all of our socials too. We have our Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Spotify, and they're all at GMIHub. Check it out. Also on X, we are at Industry Gospel. You don't want to miss that information. Stuff is all going to be there. And we also are on WhatsApp. We have a WhatsApp group. It's called Music Makers Beat Up. Get on there and chat away. It's going to be so much fun. Also, you want to email us anytime you want. It's contact@gmihub.ca. Now, I also want to let you know about our website. GMIHub.ca is the place to go to check out what we're up to and what we're going to be doing in the future. So you can actually see the things and the events that are happening. And if you want to get involved with what we're doing, you can do that too. If you go to the contact area, give us your email, just say, hey, I'd like to be a part of what you're doing. We work with so many different opportunities to do stuff. Maybe you could volunteer. But maybe you're a musician, artist, producer, or engineer, or you got something on the go that you want us to tell people about in our Hub Happening. Hub Happening is once a month. We have a newsletter which goes out to all of the ones who have put their emails in, so you can get a chance to communicate through us what you're doing to them. So take advantage of that. Back to you, Cheryl.
Hey, thanks, Dale. Well, I'm excited about our guests this evening. And I think the conversation is going to be about touring. I think it's going to be about touring. But let me introduce you to these great Canadian artists. First one, he's a Canadian singer, songwriter. He's been popular in the secular realm, and most recently entered into the Christian music scene. He's located in Alberta. And he is a paramedic. In fact, he was recognized as the Canadian Paramedic of the Year in 2020, which is during our pandemic. I am talking about Nick Hennink. Nick Hennink. So glad that you're able to join us today.
Hey guys, it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for allowing me to talk to you.
Yes, I'm glad you're here.
It's great to have you, man.
And
It's great to have you with us. We're so looking forward to this.
yes, we
It's gonna
are.
be fun.
And I also and our other person that I've been longing to have here, and I'm so glad he was able to make it. He is also a Canadian singer-songwriter located in Manitoba. He is the front man for the two-time Juno Award-winning band The Color, and he's recently released a couple songs as a solo artist. I am talking about Jordan Janzen. Jordan, welcome to GMI Hub
Yay.
Online. So glad you're here to be with us.
Thank you guys. I'm glad we made this work and that we're here tonight. Excited for this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So, what is special about these guys? Well, not only are they Canadian, not only are they singing songwriters, but they are touring. They are going to be touring, and they're going to be touring together starting in May of this month in Canada, anyway. And they're going to be the opening acts for the Newsboys tour. So I'm so glad to have them join us so they can talk to us about their backgrounds in music, because they are artists as well. And we think it's just important to learn more about them. So I'm gabbing on. So let's throw some questions out. Nick, I want to talk to you. Now, you're a paramedic, okay? You're a paramedic and you're a songwriter. That gives visions of when you're rescuing someone. I'm thinking you're going to start healing them by singing a song. But how does your experience?
It's therapeutic. Yeah, that works.
But how does your experience as a paramedic influence or affect your songwriting, or do they even work together?
Well, honestly, it has everything to do with it. When I was a paramedic for over, what must be 17, 18 years now. And I went through a really dark time in my life with PTSD, and I really struggled. I mean, I'm talking really struggled for a long time, rehab, everything. And I surrendered my life to Christ And I felt that was the only healing that was the only healing, that was the only direction that he wanted me to take. Was, I need you to do this for me. I need you to do your music from now on for me, and I need you to reach people just like I've reached you in your life. And so yeah, every call that I go to, everything that I did in my past, it all makes sense now. Now I can actually talk to other people about Jesus, and I can tell them that he healed me, and that it's all real.
Amen.
He's up there. He loves you, and there's so much potential for you in this world, and he has it. You just have to accept it.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Amen. Wow.
Jordan, let's talk to
I
you.
love your enthusiasm. That's great.
Thanks.
Yes. Jordan, question for you.
Yeah.
You're known as the frontman of The Color. Can you tell us a little bit more about your history related to that and how you even got started?
That's a really great question. I gotta put my brain back in that space. But we've been a band it's been 14 years. We released our first album in March of 2012, and really it was born out of uh, just a bunch of guys in high school that played music together, kind of like 4 or 5 years prior to that. And we did that music for a while, and it was kind of a fun thing. We just locally a bunch of guys that played music, and one of the guys had written some songs and wanted to hear what his song sounded like with a band. So I actually got roped in as a drummer when I was in 12th grade. And during that period of time, I ended up doing a little talent search here in Manitoba called the Manitoba Christian Talent Search, and started singing. I mean, to go back even further, I grew up in the church, and my parents led worship and played in a rock band in the 80s called Sojourner, which a lot of people think they've heard of before, but you definitely have not. And so they led worship within the church, and just set this example, kind of set the course of it being a reality that like music is more than about entertainment, and there's this opportunity that you have to just connect with our Creator and to worship in reverence of who He is, and to just be reminded of His characteristics. So I've always had that sort of within my heart, and I grew up in the church being a part of their worship team from age 7 when I was playing drums till I was 21. And then, you get a little attention from the ladies, and you decide, hey, maybe this is something fun to do, and start performing. And it sort of changed. There's a little bit of a focus shift, but God got me back on track really shortly thereafter. And so I started to play with my friends, and we started to lead worship within the church and do that kind of thing. And I started to just really pursue it in a real way, and decided to commit my time. And so I was farming, and I was working on music in the off season, and God He did a work in my heart. He actually pulled me away from music for a period of time when I entered into youth ministry, which I was doing for 6 years, and then He used those experiences, and He brought me together with a bandmate and friend of mine named James, and we started to connect on a weekly basis for accountability. He was working at a summer camp, and I was working as a youth pastor, and we started to meet weekly. And during those times of just talking about what God was doing and praying together, we started to write these songs that had a little more depth than some of the stuff that we had done previously. And so we were actually making I was a solo artist years ago, and when we were making that second album back in 2011, 2012, it just turned into something different, and we started to recognize this was no longer a solo effort. And so we started to release music under The Color, and it really just kind of was like, hey, we release music, we should start to tour. We reached out to like youth pastor friends and churches, and started to play shows, and in an effort to pay back some of our debt that we had acquired in making a record. And I mean, the rest is history. It's kind of a crazy journey of taking like little leaps of faith and playing a couple like 15 shows the first year, and 30 shows the next year, and then 45, and eventually we were doing 120 shows a year. And I stepped out of my youth ministry role to focus on the music ministry, and then it's been ebbs and flows ever since, with the realities of tour life, getting married. I was the only one married at the time when we had started, and COVID and all of those things. And God has been faithful through it all, and He has given us songs to reach Canada in a really, I think, a profound way. And in a sense, I'm just so grateful for the journey. That was a really long-winded answer, and it took me.
It's really good. So Jordan, Jordan, the question is, what color is it?
Oh, nice.
Clever. It's whatever color you want it to be. Depends on the
Okay,
day.
just had to ask.
My favorite color is teal, but I don't think that has anything to do with music.
Teal. Okay,
That's my
as long as
wife's
you didn't
favorite
say
color. It's
plaid,
everywhere.
because that would be crazy.
In all seriousness, like when we picked the band name, we went through a pretty lengthy process of trying to figure out, okay, like how do you go about this? Because I was a solo artist, that's pretty simple. You just go with your name. And so we had this list of like 100 names, and a lot of them were terrible. But my mom got to the point where she was just like kind of annoyed with the process, and we were sitting there having dinner one night, and she's like, "You could call yourselves anything, and people will get used to it. You could call yourselves the color orange." And we're like, "It's kind of cool." And then we thought simplify it, and we cut the orange and kept the color. But the kind of the meaning
Your
behind
mom is the voice of reason. She's the voice of
she's
reason.
the voice
right?
of reason.
That's great.
And the meaning behind the name is this idea that color brings life to the world around us. That's what we hope to do with our music, to bring life and hope. And so it's been quite a journey.
Awesome.
I was told that the spelling, now remember, you're Canadian artists, and color is spelled different than how you've used the spelling, because you have it COLOR, which I think is
American.
more American, and COLOUR would be Canadian. But I was told that there was a strategy behind that. And what was the strategy?
Yeah, it was very simple. We took a piece of paper and we wrote both versions out. And we're like, I think this one looks better, just more aesthetically pleasing with the O's on either side of the L. And then there was an element of thinking about our American audience, and we were hoping to grow to a point where we would be playing in the U.S. and we felt like Americans would understand the different spelling, but would be a little confused if it was like color. Like, what does that mean? So we were trying to be gracious.
Yeah.
We figured Canadians would forgive, and Americans would. This is the better way to go.
Huh.
That's awesome.
So Nick, when it comes to your music, I'd like to know what it is that kind of inspires you, gets you to start your songs, or where you're starting, and how you write, the process, and all that. What is that like for you?
Honestly, when I write, it's usually about something personal that has happened to me in life, and then I try to relate it to people around me in some sort of way. Obviously, the song "Warriors" that I wrote is about first responders and what they have to go through. Did a bunch of covers as well. But the new album that we are coming out with, singles as we're going along this year, it's all about how God reached into my life after we surrendered our lives about, fully surrendered, I would say 3 years ago, something like that. And he's opened up doors. So it's really how he spoke to us and that he's there. And like now things are happening. And we just he can open the door, but we have to walk through it. So, and you'll hear that repetitiveness. And I wanted it that way on purpose, that every song kind of has the same concept in this album. And I'm kind of proud of that, because I think I wanted to ring with people that this is why we did this. There's no other reason.
That's interesting.
Absolutely no.
That's really interesting, because I was just thinking about that the other day, about put out an album. You've got 10, 12 tracks, and they're all different stories, different narratives, different things. And some artists in the past have put theme of the album, and every song leans towards that theme. But nowadays, we're releasing singles. All these singles are coming out, and there's no real albums. So it's like the mindset is different, I think, in today's artists when they're coming to the writing process.
Could be. I mean, for me, it was like, okay, the first one's going to come out called As I Call Out Your Name. So it's like, okay, God can speak to you. God can change your life. If you didn't get that, second single is going to be pretty much the same thing. And then if you didn't hear that one, the third one's going to be pretty much the same thing. I
guess what?
Yeah. By the time the 7 songs are out there and everyone's heard them, I'm really praying that people are like, okay, I guess God spoke to this guy and his life changed. I'm like, yeah, that's really the point.
That's cool.
That's your testimony.
Cool. Yeah, exactly.
And that song is going to be released actually in February. Is that right? As we call out your name, or as I call out your name, right?
Yeah, that one's going to be released in February. I think it's February the 21st. We just shot the music video today, and it's great. Like, honestly, I was very surprised on how professional this crew was, the film crew were, and everything else, and we had such a blast. It was so much fun. So I'm excited for you to see it. I really am.
Oh,
Well, here it is
awesome.
playing in the
Well,
background, right? If you can listen.
In the silence, I feel alone. In the darkness, my heart turns to stone. But you whisper in the quiet of the night. You're always with me. I just need to find the light. When the world starts to shake and my heart begins to break, I remember you are near in the midst of all my fear. Yes, I call out your name, you're already here. In the storm, in the flame, you calm all my fear. Though I run, though I hide, still your love remains. You're never far, you're always the same. As I call out your name. In the struggle, I feel the weight.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
so it's
that's
great.
what's
I
going to
love
be
the
coming
vocals.
out.
It's like that rasp that comes in the vocals, like it's like it's really cool. I love it. I love the whole thing.
You know what? I've always wanted to sing like Jordan. I've always wanted to. And I hear Jordan's voice and the way he sings songs, and still today I'm like,
Alright.
I want to sing like that too. But it just doesn't come out that way.
Yeah, Jordan's got a fabulous voice. No,
He
absolutely.
does.
kind.
But I mean, I just love that. I love that it's a nice, slow kind of power chord. It's really cool. Really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah, I
Man.
think that's gonna go really, really well. And Jordan, you're not alone. You've
Oh, yeah.
also released a
Me
few
too.
songs. You've released
Yeah.
15 years of songs, but more recently, you have released a couple of solo songs again. One being, I think your latest one is called "Kindness." That's the latest
That's
one.
right.
That's actually hitting the charts like really, really fast.
It was your kindness, right there from the start. In every broken road, just led me right back to your heart. It was your kindness, and all that I've been through, and I'd do it all again to know you love the way I do, and all of your kindness.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's an interesting process. I think similar to what Nick was speaking to before. There's a reality that when we're writing music, typically it's coming from a place of our own experiences, and writing music with the color was a little bit more, I won't say more intentional, but um, it was more like, hey, what are people going through? What should we write songs about? What's kind of the heart of the matter? And then trying intentionally to hit the mark, and obviously trying to be as honest as we can be. But with the solo stuff, it's been much more just based on what's going on in my life. And so You Can Let Go is very much the product of a person who carries a lot of anxiety and wrestles with things in my brain. And I think it's just, for me, it's a really honest, vulnerable reflection of, I know that when it comes to the love that God has for me, that it's not his desire for me to walk through life carrying those things and the weight of that. But walking in true forgiveness is being able to let go of our guilt, of our shame, of our fears, whatever's been going on. And so for me, that's a song that I wish I could sing it once and be like, okay, we're good. But I seem to come back to it. When I sing it, I need it for myself. And then kindness is kind of an extension of that,
totally.
where it's like, kindness speaks to the journey, and almost like a posture of reflection, of being able to, in the midst of the turmoil, in the midst of the struggle of life, and just all the challenges that we face. And for myself, my wife and I, we struggled with infertility for a lot of years, and that's one example where when we were in it, we definitely did not know what God was doing. But now, I got 3 kids. You can probably hear me yelling in the background at times. Where we're just so thankful we can see it.
A couple of singers back there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's my son. Just to be able to reflect and see God's kind of the thread of God's presence through it all, and so recognizing that is his kind heart. We don't always get to the answers aren't necessarily revealed in the moment. Sometimes we need to look back and just see where he's been present through it all. So to me, it's a celebration. It's a really fun song, and I'm excited to have it out in the world.
Yeah, it spoke to me about the scripture that says, Romans 8:28, all things work together for good, but because the character of God is he wants to do what's best for us and our relationship with him, and not only so that we could be beneficiaries of it, but we could be a blessing to others as well. So yeah. Anyways, it was I love
Yeah.
the track. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, these are, if you wanted to hear these songs, Jordan's songs are already released. They are on Spotify, so you can go ahead to Spotify and listen to those songs. You can also go to his website, jordanjensen.com. I believe I got that right. And you can also hear the songs there and be ministered to. They're really awesome. And Nick's songs are coming out in February. By then, they should
That's
be
right.
on all streaming platforms. So
Yeah.
definitely listen out for his song, which is As I Call Out Your Name. A very powerful song.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I'm
please
going to
go
kind
on
of
to
switch.
their YouTube channels and subscribe. I want you to subscribe to their YouTube channels. Really encourage them in what they're doing, and bless them. Please do that. Be a part of the conversation as well. Put something in their chats and blow them up. Just have fun with that.
There you go. There you go. Now I'm going to switch this because we've talked about your music, and now the other part of releasing your music is you're actually going to be able to perform it, which means you're going on tour, and you guys are going on tour together. And so I just want to know, how excited are you to be doing this, to be going on tour, and with the Newsboys of all of that? Like, wow. Like, to me, it's wow. But what about for you guys? Like, share your thoughts about this. We'll start with Dick. I find I have to choose people. What's your thought, Nick?
I think it's amazing. I think this is just one of God's ways of blessing us for when we call to do His purposes and always will. He does open those doors, as we were talking about earlier. This is one of those ways because I respect and admire everybody that's going on this tour. I was listening to Jordan's stuff before this tour was even an option. And I just thought, like, man, this would be great. Like, there's some really good Canadian artists, and now I actually get to go on tour with one.
Yeah.
And that means a lot. Newsboys, of course, have been around forever, and they're amazing. They're good guys. Went to go meet them in Nashville when they were doing their practice, and just to be able to jump on board with the Color or Jordan Janzen and Newsboys is a privilege. It really is, and I'm so happy. We're gonna have so much fun, and we can praise Jesus together. Yay!
Amen.
Yeah. What are you looking
Amen.
forward to when you're on, maybe on the road or on stage? What is it? What is the part that you're saying to yourself, I can't wait to do that? That's going to be cool.
I love the fact that the band that I have right now are people that I couldn't even have imagined being in a band with. I mean, I have possibility of Mark Townsend joining me on guitar from DC Talk, and yeah, and other guys as well that I can't really say their names right now, and it's just like I can't even imagine this has happened. So I'm very excited. I want to be on stage. I want to worship Jesus, and I want to do it in unison with other people around. It means a lot.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Amazing. Jordan, how about you? What are your thoughts on traveling, touring?
One of the cool things about our experience is that we were on the road with the Newsboys for pretty much all of 2024. So we ended up doing 44 shows with them in the U.S. And so that was an incredible experience. We got to 44 shows and a lot of days traveling together gives you enough time to really become friends. So going into this year, last year, I mean, I was much like Nick. I mean, it was kind of a giddy reality, like it's a childhood dream honor and something that we had dreamed about. And there was just doors that God had opened. And so we felt pretty we felt like God was moving in this direction. We needed to step into it. And so we did a huge year of touring. And to be quite honest with you, it was really difficult to be away as much as we were. I was away for just over or right around 180 days last year, which was too much. And so what I am looking forward to with this tour is that it's shorter, that I know we're going to have great time together with friends of ours, and then getting to meet new people like Nick and whoever he brings along, and then to bring it to Canada, I think is just a really exciting thing. It's great. a great night of worship that many thousands of people have experienced. But the Newsboys haven't been to Canada for over 10 years, and so for that to be able to be brought in, and just the reality of what's going to be happening throughout our country, we're going to have these nights where we are gathered together with thousands of people worshiping, and I think it's going to be really powerful, and I'm excited to be a small part of it and to get to experience it. So there's
So
a lot of
now
layers there, but overall,
also
really
realized
excited.
Awesome.
Jordan and Nick, you're going to be together for a while on the road together. So I was wondering, is there going to be an opportunity for the two of you to collaborate and maybe write a song together?
There's always
I'm
a
always up
chance.
for anything, but I'm gonna probably try to sing like him. It's gonna happen, and it's I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, I get it. No, yeah, and why not?
I think
I
that's
would
the
love
funny
it.
I
thing.
sing
mean,
somewhere and just taking out acoustic guitar, just hammering stuff out.
yeah, it's
Go
a
ahead,
funny
Jordan.
reality where you think you have so much time and you're going to get to write songs, and I mean, like I said, 44 shows over the course of the year, and we did not write one song together. And part of that is because
Wow.
the travel is difficult, and you are tired, and any spare energy is
Yeah.
given towards connecting with your family or just
Yeah.
sleeping. So we'll see. I'm here for it though. This tour is not going to be as crazy. It's going to be great.
That's
Really good.
awesome. That's awesome.
Awesome.
Like I am curious though, like how did the opportunity for you, Jordan, to work with the Newsboys come about? And then later on, Nick, I'll ask you that question, but how did that come about?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I mean, it's a small music community, and I've been involved in it now for obviously a pretty lengthy amount of time. And sometimes when you get connected to a tour, it comes with like really practical needs. And so, to be completely candid, one of the first conversations I had with their management team was in regards to the fact that we had a tour bus, and we had just purchased a tour bus a few weeks prior, and within like 3 days of us actually having it, I was on the phone with their manager talking about this tour, and so that was sort of the initial connection. And like I said, it's a small world, so that conversation went to something like, "Hey, we've heard of each other for a long time and heard good things, and we'd like to begin working together, and even the potential of future relationship and working on new music and that kind of thing was on the table, but we're not going to get to know each other by simply not working together, so why don't we just start by touring?" And so that was kind of how it got connected. It's one of those things where it feels like it's all the fruit of the labor. So there's years of touring, building up a name, building up a good reputation, being men who are known for, I think, working well with people, having music that's of high caliber, and then also just being able to fit a practical need that they had at the right time. And so to me, that's just the Lord kind of opening the right doors at the right time. And obviously other people have buses, and other people have great music, and all of those things. We're not the only ones that could fill that need. So I'm really thankful for it. But yeah, that's kind of how it all began.
Ah,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, so now for Nick,
how about you, Nick?
how did that work out for now you to be with the Color and with the Newsboys?
It started about. This is a really summarized story. It started about 2 years ago, where my wife and I decided that we needed to bring some more Christian music into Canada, and we realized that there weren't a lot of Christian bands that came to Canada. There was really the same bands that came all the time, which is wonderful. But we wanted to bring some other bands, like Newsboys, right? We brought Petra to Canada. We did a full year's tour. A whole across Canada with Petra, and we had to apply to open up for Petra. So I wasn't thinking anything of it, honestly, because I gave up music a little while ago, and I had to really fast and pray about the fact that whether God wanted me to be on stage and whether this was something that we could do. And we gave our music to Petra, and they liked my stuff. And they wanted to hear more. So we did open for them with the local band here in Cochrane when they played a Cochrane show, and they said, "Okay, well, we're coming back to Canada, and we want you to be the opening band across Canada with us," which worked out great because we also were part of Faith Live. Like my wife Sheena, who's part of Faith Live, who's like determined. I don't know if you've met Sheena. She is determined to bring Christian bands to Canada and really hype up the worship here in Canada. So I got that opportunity. And then once again, the Newsboys came around, and I still had to show my music and still to prove myself. And I had a lot of references that came to them as well, and they were like, "Okay, let's do this. Like, come on this tour. Come worship with us." So, and as Jordan said, this could be anybody. I'm no one special. I don't have some superpowers. I just like to sing songs, and God's opening the door, so I'm going to walk through it, and I'm going to enjoy it. I might become best buds with Jordan and move into his house one day. Things like that happen all the time.
That means you're babysitting.
Can't wait.
He's got 3 kids.
Okay.
Oh,
Built-in
no, I don't know
babysit.
about that.
Great. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just joking. That's cool.
I love it. Except Alberta sounds a
You
little
know-
nicer this time of year.
Yeah.
It is. It's like -5 today. It wasn't that bad. So
And it was minus 40 something in Manitoba.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. I can't imagine it being that cold.
sorry, dude.
Wow. I will say this with regards to the tour. One thing that I am really, really excited about with this particular tour is this. I love the Newsboys. I think they're awesome, but I really love the fact that they're allowing Canadian artists to be with them and to open for them to actually share the stage with them. I think that's very important. And the reason for that is just because for the longest time I have felt personally that Canada does have talent. Canada has talent that can if I can say there's a buffet of music that's available, Canada can contribute to that buffet. I really feel that that's the case. And I love the fact that artists like the Newsboys and other groups that have come here have been open to bringing in Canadian artists to front them. So thank you to Sheena, your wife, and to others who are making those kind of appointments. I think it's really, really awesome. And I say rock on to that. I love it. So, well, I guess Dale's already asked this question to you, Nick, which is what are some things that you're hoping to do on, like, what are you hoping to, some outcomes of this tour? Jordan, what about you? What are some outcomes you're hoping for this tour?
Yeah, I think even just what I was speaking to earlier, just I think the sense of community and coming together and being able to just worship together, I think that's going to be a very powerful night. And then I think for us as a band, it's just a really great opportunity for us to be able to connect with more people and fans that maybe don't know us, that maybe, sorry, meet
That's
new
okay.
people who are maybe fans of Nick's music or fans of the Newsboys that have never heard of The Color before or my solo stuff. And I think one of the really cool parts about being able to open for a band who is of the status that the Newsboys is, just the awareness that they bring, is that they're going to bring a lot more people. And so to be able to get in front of an audience that maybe hasn't heard our music before and they get a chance to experience it for the first time and hopefully be moved in a powerful way is a really cool opportunity. And something that we've already experienced being in front of the Newsboys all year. Nobody knew Jordan Janzen. Very few people knew The Color. And yet, after every show, you have people who come up and just share about how the songs have spoken to them. And that's a very short amount of time and a very limited amount of songs. And so it's pretty cool that even within a shorter opening set, you still have an opportunity to connect with people.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Nick, go ahead. Someone was about to speak. I didn't hear who. Okay, then I'll speak. Okay. Both of you have done tours. Obviously, Jordan, you've been with the Newsboys, like you said, for 44 shows, 180 days away, kind of idea. Nick, you had already toured with Petra. What are some of the lessons that you've learned in your touring with Petra?
Wow, there's a lot. I didn't know there. I mean, obviously, like when I was doing my secular music, we toured a lot around Saskatchewan, Alberta, around those areas when I was playing back in the day, but nothing to that extent. So it was very interesting to be able to have a crowd that large, for instance, that listens to your music, that interacts with you. So that was really nice. But I also learned that being humble and being kind goes such a long way, especially when you're around people for a long period of time. Everyone has bad days. Everybody gets tired. Things like that happen, and that was a hard lesson, even for myself, because I felt myself. I mean, Jordan did wow so much. So I couldn't imagine, like, he's at a point where you're so tired, right? So you have to. And then John Schlipp was actually the one that told me, when you're tired, go away from human beings. Walk away from
Really?
them. Go to your room. Go pray. Go eat something. And that was actually really good advice, because it wasn't often times that I felt tired, but I had to realize that if I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, which I feel like God is putting that direction on my heart, humble and kind. Because it's still a blessing, no matter what. That was my biggest
Yes.
lesson.
Interesting. Jordan, you've
Very
done
cool.
gazillions of tours. What are some
Gazillions.
lessons that you have learned?
Gazillions.
Okay, it's a little
Gazillions.
bit. It seems like gazillions of tours.
He's really much older than he looks.
How many? What are some things that you have learned as almost like a veteran touring artist? What are some lessons you've learned along the way when touring?
Yeah, I echo the sentiments that Nick has shared. I think there's a reality that you're a bunch of human beings that are trying to get along. And when we started, it was like you're having a sleepover with your best friends every night. And then you are suddenly not as young as you once were, and you have families at home. And there's this reality that there's a lot of stuff going on. And sometimes those things that are happening at home will sneak into what you're doing on a day to day on the road. And so taking that time that you need, and it's just, I think you're all there for a common goal, and we have a purpose and a mission to it, but also everybody's committing to sacrifice time at home to be here. And so extending a lot of grace. And I think character and integrity win out at the end of the day, and opportunities, if there's no reason to be unkind. I think that kindness and just being gracious to everybody that's on the road is a huge thing. And then to be grateful to the people who are coming out. I mean, whether you're playing in Herbert, Saskatchewan for 45 people, or you're playing for 1,000 people in Winnipeg with the Newsboys, people are committing their evening and are choosing to spend it with you. And you just have this really great opportunity and platform in a lot of circumstances to speak truth. And you want to do that with, I think, just with careful wisdom, and you don't want to diminish the opportunity that you have, because words have power, and music moves, and people are watching. And so it's an interesting lesson to be learned. And a lot of time, there's also just ebbs and flows to it too. And right now the momentum is good, and we have an opportunity to tour with a big band, and we're really thankful for that. And at the same time, there will be seasons where the doors maybe aren't as open as they are right now, and just to be thankful for each season. And I'm really thankful right now on January 21st to be sitting at home and hearing my kids chatting in the background, because
absolutely.
because that's a blessing as well.
I'm curious, how old are your
I would like you
ones?
guys to think back. Oh, the little ones.
How old are they?
My oldest daughter Lennon is 7, and then she just turned 7 this past weekend, and then my son Aiden is going to be 4 in April. And then we have a 1-year-old. So the first year of my daughter's life was last year, and my wife was a rock star.
Oh my goodness.
That's amazing.
Well, kudos to Mrs. Janzen.
I'd like to ask. I'd like to ask if
Go
you could
ahead.
think back to the beginning, whenever you were kind of first thinking about, or when you were reaching to book those gigs, to get the first time you went to do it. I wouldn't say maybe tour, but you had opportunities to do those band performances wherever you went. I'd like you to speak to an individual or a band who is right now at that place where they are rolling out a potential dates or bookings that they want to to go to, what kind of words of advice would you give to them, that especially the new artists, maybe even someone who's been doing it for a very little bit of time and maybe they're starting to get some advice would you give?
Yeah, I think I can speak to that. First, I think the reality is that nobody's going to work harder for your own thing than you. And if you're passionate about it and you feel like you have something that people are going to want to hear, I think just makes a lot of sense to put yourself out there. And oftentimes, I've had these conversations with other bands, and one of the bands that was a really big influence on us was a band called Starfield, and they were based here in Winnipeg. For a long time, and
Yeah.
I've asked them the same questions, and you kind of get these answers that are feel like not real answers, where people are saying, well, like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, and just keep pushing. But there's a reality that, now more than ever, you have an opportunity to put your music online and put it on streaming platforms that anybody can listen to at any time, and you have social media, and these are all mediums where you can build an audience. And I think that's a really important thing. I think the reality of Canada is that we don't really have a music industry in the traditional sense that the US has. And so what we had to do is be scrappy and call churches and be like, hey, can we come? And what can you give us? Nothing? Okay, awesome. Can you feed us? Yes, sure. Okay, cool. We'll come. And that was a different season of my life where I didn't need it. I needed a different job. And I would say, don't quit your day job until you have to quit your day job, because you're going to need a way to pay for it. But
Totally,
I think it can just be really practical. I think if you have something that you have created that is of good quality, then people are going to be responsive. And if it's not, then maybe you need to work on your craft or dig in a little bit more on the quality of music that you're putting out there. But there is opportunities that are just really simply readily available by going on Google and looking up different churches to connect with, different venues to connect with, and their phone numbers are there. And you gotta put a little blood, sweat, and tears into it. But it will. I believe if your music is of quality, people will be responsive, and those doors will begin to open. Does that feel like an answer that makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's very good.
kind of.
How about you, Nick? What do you think?
Absolutely. Everything Jordan said, but also, I think I would say it also has to do with that God open, like we've been talking about God opening doors. Like, God is the God that can make the impossible possible. But I think it really comes down to He cares more about your heart, and if your heart's not in the right place and you're not where you need to be with God first, I truly feel like sometimes those opportunities aren't quite there yet. And it's more important that your heart is right. So that is so I feel like that is kind of where it comes down to with me, is that if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, and I still need to work on my heart, and God might take it away, and the opportunities might not be there. But right now, the blessings are there, so we're going to take it, and we're going to do the best we can and try to impact as many people as we can. But like Jordan said, it's a lot of work, and it's going to take, coming out with the album, the right producers, music video. Like, there's a lot of work involved, and you're the only one that can do it. So do it.
Yeah, and I think to add to what Nick is saying, I think there's a reality that people often get an idea of what is success, and what is the ideal way that this looks, and I mean, you can look at an experience like mine from the outside, and there's a lot of things that are awesome, and last year was really cool, but there's a lot of realities that come with it that are not as simple as one might think, and the dream looks really different than it did when I was 17 years old, 20 years later. And there's a reality that I just don't think that we shouldn't put so much weight, or we shouldn't put so much of a measurement of success on whether or not you're a touring artist or not. I think that God has given you a creative heart and the ability to write music. I think there's a reality that we give a lot of our energy to it look in a certain way. And I just think that, man, if you're plugged into your church and you're writing music, or if you're plugged into your church and you're playing guitar, or you're just on the worship team, like, it's not just on the worship team, that's maybe the place you're supposed to be in. And I think that God calls select people to this lifestyle because it's not an easy one. And so And honestly, sometimes, as I said, there's seasons, and this is not a season where I'm prepared or able to be as busy as past seasons. And so I think just being willing and seeking God in each moment, and trying to keep your heart in alignment with what He has for you, which I think ultimately is to worship Him and to point people towards Him. And so whether or not that's on a large scale, or if that's within your home or with your group of friends or at your church, I think that all of it is important. And I think that there are practical steps that one can take to put yourself in front of more people. And I think there's hard work that you can do to give yourself a shot to live the dream, if you will. But like I said, the dream is not always as dreamy as you think it is. But God is faithful, and it's been good. But
Yeah.
I think sometimes the
That's true.
grass is greener.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard it said that some artists that travel on tour, they say it's not as romantic as you thought it would be, but it really is rewarding. So that's a challenge I think that a lot of artists face, especially those who are going on large tours, where they get really physically drained, and psychologically it becomes a challenge for them to be on, if you know what I mean, every time they hit the stage. And I can understand that. I can understand that a lot. Now, you both are here, so I was just thinking to give you an opportunity now to just ask each other a question, because I don't think you've done that yet. It'd be nice to have you guys have a little chance to chat.
Well, now I feel like we're on the spot.
Okay, Sheena
Nick,
said she has a
what kind
question.
of-
Well, I know that you have
Okay.
you have talked to each other on the phone, I understand, right? But you haven't really met each other face to face. It's not really face to face, but you can see each other, so it's kind of pseudo face to face.
It's great. Sheena, what's your question?
Why are you called the color?
Oh, they already went through that.
Oh, well, you missed it.
Oh, so Jordan, you had a question?
Yeah.
I was gonna. You said you did secular music prior to doing Christian music. What did that look like? Like, how long was that journey? Where were you playing? What kind of music was that?
So yeah, I did it under my name in the past as well. And one of the songs, Warriors, that I did got picked up by the U.S. Army, and they played it. The U.S. Army band played it in the States, and there was a lot of interest from labels, and but like we were just talking about, it was my heart was not in the right place. I was going down things with my PTSD and my addiction, to cope with the PTSD, things like that. So I had the opportunities to go in a direction of secular music and go live out those dreams that I've always wanted. But God saved me in a way, because if you think about it, if I never had those struggles and I never had that, the stints in rehab and everything else, I would probably be dead. I'm being truly honest with you. And now I'm doing what I love, but doing it for Him. So that's where the secular music kind of stopped, because my body stopped, like my mind stopped, and I feel like God was in there, even though I didn't know He was there or believe that He was there at the time. He was there holding my hand, and He was like, "Don't worry, son, I got you, and you will get to a dream.
Yeah.
It's just not going to come when you think it's going to come."
Crazy.
So long-winded answer.
Is that song still out there in the world? Can I find it somewhere?
Oh yeah, Warriors. Yeah, it's still on everywhere, like YouTube, everything else.
Sweet.
I'm a lot skinnier
Check
and
it out.
good looking in those videos, just so you know. There's that.
That's good. That's actually what I was thinking about. So that's perfect.
Actually,
So Jordan,
one question.
I got a question for you. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask Jordan. So you going solo? Love the way Jordan Z. It's cool. Anyway, what are you gonna do for band wise? Are you gonna keep the color, or like what's your plan for the future wise for Jordan?
Yeah. That's a great question. And it's honestly, the solo thing didn't come out of a space of like being like, I need to go solo. It was there was a bandmate and I that used to be in the color together, and we split. And so there was a season where I was unsure as to whether or not the color was going to be able to continue. Just even like legally, that process was not totally clean. So it took some time before we got that all settled. And so I just felt like that was a push in the direction of like being open to it, because I really, for a long time, I was like, the color is the thing that I'm going to spend my time and my this is going to be my life's work, if you will. And so in some ways, I was a little bit limiting as to what kind of opportunities I was willing to listen to, be open to. And so when the door opened to consider a solo thing, I started to just connect with labels, and they were like, "Hey, I think a solo thing would be good." And so then I moved into that, and then I ended up settling the color stuff. And so I kind of have these two entities that we're moving forward with. And so part of the conflict, or just the thing that's been confusing, is that the new music it's a different direction. I think the songs are different in the sense that they're a little more, I don't know, just we've been saying it's a little more like a ballad heart, like it feels a little more vulnerable than some of the other stuff that the color was doing. And so we've been really working hard at creating a separation as to what do Jordan Janzen songs sound like, and what do songs sound like from the color. And so we've given it quite a bit of space. The color we released our last record in September or October of 2021. And so this year we're going to start releasing music with the color, and that sound will be a bit more, it'll be a band. Like, it's going to be very obvious. There's going to be guitar solos and things like that. And it's more of a pop rock thing, almost maybe pointing towards where we started. And then the Jordan Janzen stuff will be more geared towards Christian radio. And so both things are going to still exist for the time being. And that seems to be the thing that works best. And so the guys, like on all the Newsboys dates where we've been doing Jordan Janzen stuff, the guys from the color are part of that. And so they've been a part of the journey the whole way. It just looks a little bit different in terms of the branding, and gives me some opportunities to go out and do events on my own, and to do tours where I'm just then being behind an acoustic guitar and playing the songs and sharing what's going on in my life. And so it's been kind of cool. I would not say it's been like, this is what we're going to do from day one, but it's been cool to see how it's become a little more clear each and every step of the way, which is, we're a couple of years into it now. So it's been kind of cool. Good question.
Your music sounds great.
Thanks, dude. I'm excited to hear your record. I know you've been working really hard on it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
One more question that I had. What's the plan? I didn't send this question to you, so I'm kind of flying off the seat of my pants on this one. It's this question. What is the plan to replenish yourselves when you're tired? When you have expended everything that God puts in you to share with your audiences, what is the plan for you guys to replenish?
That's a really good question. And I would say that's an ongoing learning experience, because I have not always done that well. I would say that this past year kind of caught us off guard, because we had never been in a touring season where we had 3 children. We had 1 child when I was before COVID, and then now we have 3, and we went back into it and went hard. And then it's, when you're home, you're not resting. And so it can be really difficult. And so this year it's creating intentional space to be off the road. And what I do when I'm off the road is try to disconnect from that world as much as possible, spend time in the Word, spend time resting, dating my wife. Those are the things that I need to replenish. I'm very fortunate. This next month, I'm going to be able to get away for a week with my wife on a rest retreat, which is something we have never done before. And I'm thankful that it's an opportunity that we have, and we have the time, and we have somebody to watch our 2 oldest kids. But yeah, that's a really great question. And I think it's probably one of the things that most musicians and entrepreneurs are really bad at, because you feed off of the excitement of writing music, and then you get to the step where you get to release it, and you get the next step where you get to be on stage and you get to share the songs with people that have meant so much to you. And then you find yourself in a position where you are tired and you are drained and you have nothing left to give, and you come home and you're not the husband or the father that you need to be. And so I would say that that's probably the area of my life that I feel the most convicted in this season of my life. So I appreciate you speaking to it. I'm actually excited to hear Nick's answer, because I think I might need some tips.
Yeah, Nick, what's
Yeah.
Well, I would say I just yell really loud so everyone can hear me. like Jordan said, I generally, when I find myself in that state of being tired or moody, or because we're all human beings, right, and we go through human stuff. What I like to do is I like to walk away. I like to center myself. I'd like to get a hug from my wife, who comes on tour with me. Spend time alone, and that time alone does a lot. It recharges you in ways that you couldn't have imagined. Like doing it, when I'm not on tour, or doing it even when I'm at work and I deal with patients or something, and just that time alone, even for an hour or two, putting headphones on, listening to music and praying. Spend time with God. Like he can recharge that battery. So that really helps.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are days where it's just a bad day, but once again, the sun will shine the next day and put a smile on. And I always say, fake it till you make it to my kids, because if they're in a bad mood, I'm just like, fake it till you make it, because you don't want to affect everyone else's day just because you're having a bad day. And generally, you start having a good day when you start smiling and you present that to the world.
Mm.
Yeah. There are
Interesting.
people that
Interesting.
Love it.
do get charged being around other people. There's people that gives them a sense of
Yeah.
being recharged. People like my wife, she doesn't that depletes her. She likes to be alone, reading her Bible or sitting sometime by herself. That refreshes her. With me, I like to be out in a crowd, and that makes me feel this is awesome. She's exact opposite. So I totally get that, and the way God would minister to you would be different than the way He might minister to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Totally.
It's interesting, and I'm glad, Dale, that you brought that up, because I was just thinking, after being amongst all those people, um, again, I've not personally been on tour, so forgive me if I'm being, I don't know, I'm saying stuff that may be out of turn, but I go, after all of that, I know there's the rush. There's the rush. Man, we've been on stage. This is awesome. We did this. Yes. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, I'm so tired. And then I go, and
Yeah.
and maybe I'm optimistic. Is there a time when you guys stop together and actually just say, hey, let's just thank God for this? Like almost like the football teams and the sports teams when they go, let's take a knee and let's just thank God that this worked, or that this ministered, or this, or well, I guess in game terms, it's we won or we lost or we played their best and God was with us and He kept us safe. I mean, is there that kind of stuff that happens? And if
Yeah,
not,
for
could it?
sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's usually late nights when you're on the road driving and eating food that you shouldn't be eating because it's late. But just being able to
Yeah.
have those conversations where you're reflecting on the day, and you're right, because it is almost like a sports team when you're working together for a common goal, and you get to accomplish the thing that you've been working towards for so long. And so to be able to have those moments of gratitude together with the team, absolutely, that's a regular occurrence, which I'm really thankful for. And then that's one of the perks to being able to do it with other people. You can celebrate those
Mhm.
moments and
Yeah.
have those painful moments together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like like the Bible says, we are the body, right? And I think when you're especially in a tour situation, that's a perfect opportunity to actually see who the hands, legs, feet, whatever, are doing stuff, but you're all with one common goal, which is basically to uplift God and to encourage those that are in the audience, whether they know God or not. If they don't know God, you're encouraging them to know who God is, and letting them know God's pretty cool, right, in your own way. And if for those who already know God, you're encouraging them and reminding them, hey, guess what? God's cool and He's with you. He's got you. He's kind, and His kindness will draw you, and you can always call on Him and He will answer
Yeah.
you, and all the rest. Like those are the messages that I kind of pick up from what I believe God wants to speak through you and through your lives. And you have wonderful testimonies. I mean, Nick, I still hear the young excitement that you have. Like, God saved me. I love hearing that. It's like, God got a hold of me.
Yeah.
I was going down this dark road, and guess what? God got a hold of me, and I'm saved, and I want to tell you about it. That's what it sounds like,
Oh,
And
yeah.
so
Yeah.
I hope. So I'm hoping that excitement will just keep going through your music, and that'll go through as you're touring. I hope that excitement goes with when you're touring with the guys. And, I hope they don't get annoyed with you for being so excited. I hope they go, I like that excitement. I love your excitement, dude. Kind of idea.
Yeah.
I could,
Yeah.
you seem like the type of person, like 3:00 in the morning. I'm excited, man. God did something. That's what it sounds like.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I hope that enthusiasm stays strong. I think it's beautiful. And Jordan, you have been a ray of light to a lot of people over the years. And I pray that ray of light continues to shine through you and through your team of people that you work with and sing with and minister with as well. I think you guys are just absolutely awesome. And I'm so thankful for what God is doing in and through you.
Yeah. So let's
you.
bring that time together to an end. And I just want to thank you guys for both being here. I really, I totally respect what you guys are doing. Oh, I'm a big fan. I want to thank all of the viewers for watching right now. If you're on YouTube and you want to find out more, it's at GMIHub Online. That's how you get to our YouTube channel. And also let you know about our socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Spotify at GMIHub. Check it out. Also on X at Industry Gospel. Industry Gospel. Now, we have a WhatsApp, which is really cool. The WhatsApp group is called Music Makers Meetup. You get in there and start sharing some ideas, talk to each other. Have a lot of fun with that, because that could be a lot of fun. If you have opportunity to email us, do that by contact@gmihub.ca. It's contact@gmihub.ca. We'd love for you to communicate with us. We have, of course, our website, GMIHub.ca. Go check out what we're up to. Just you'll find out more about us on that website than you would just listening to this little blurb that I'm doing right now. There's so much that we're doing. We're involved in events. We're doing stuff with artists. And we have, it's exciting what we got coming up. I just can't tell you everything because there's so much to talk about. But I really want you to connect with us. So how you do that is go on to GMIHub.ca. Email us, and we will correspond with you. If you have an event, an album, a song you're releasing, if you're an engineer or if you're a musician, and you want to tell us what's going on, and also you want us to tell others about what you're doing, we'll put it in our monthly newsletter, which is called Hub Happenings, which goes out every month, and we send it to all the other people that have given their emails to us as well. So you can be part of this community that GMIHub has kind of put together. We want to be there for you. That's the reason why we do what we do. You are important and you're valued, and we want God to bless you through the music and all God has given you to do. So thank you for taking the opportunity to do that, because we'd love to connect with you.
And Jordan and Nick, thank you so much for being with us again. Absolutely awesome. I pray blessings on you on your tours. I pray all goes well. And if you are going to go see these guys, just go see them, enjoy them, support them. I mean, they are the vessels of God that are being used to minister to you all throughout Canada. So if you're in one of those areas where the Newsboys are going to be in, I believe you can see the whole list on Jordan's website and on Faith Live website at faithlive.ca and jordanjanzen.com. You can go there and you can see exactly where everyone's going to be. And if you're in those areas, get the tickets. Go enjoy them, praise God together, and who knows what'll happen after that. So enjoy. Thank you so much for being with us, and we'll see you next time we're live on GMIHub Online. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.
Mhm.